Hi Marvel fans, my name's Huw and I'm here to talk about the shocking end to Infinity War, what's next for the Marvel Universe, and what we can expect from the next Avengers film next May. Before we get started, be warned. This video will be absolutely full of spoilers for Infinity War, so if you haven't seen it, you should look away. Don't do this to yourself. First up, let's talk about that ending. Avengers Infinity War concludes with Thanos collecting all 6 Infinity Stones, defeating the combined teams of Avengers and finally carrying out his grand plan, erasing half of the universe's population with the snap of his fingers. And I can't snap my fingers, but that's why I'm not Thanos. The heroes we see dusted are Bucky, Falcon, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Star-Lord, Mantis, Drax, Groot, Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, Nick Fury, and Maria Hill. And there were some heroes who were killed before the dusting, which I'm apparently calling it, and they were Vision, Gamora, Heimdall, and Tom Hiddleston's Loki, if he counts as a hero. And those left unscathed at the end of the film are Iron Man, Captain America, Bruce Banner, Thor, Black Widow, Rocket, Nebula, War Machine, Okoye, and M'Baku. And we're currently unclear about characters like Ant-Man and Hawkeye, who weren't in the film, or Shuri, who we didn't see disintegrate on screen, but still might have. So, first things first, we'll address the big question, will those characters stay dead? We're going to go with a hard no on that one. Characters like Spider-Man and Black Panther already have sequels to their solo films coming out, and it's not like Marvel would cheerily murder half its IP just to make a neat cliffhanger. With that said, it seems likely that the characters who were killed pre-dusting, Vision, Loki, and Gamora, will stay dead, because they weren't part of Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet clique, so they may not be as easily brought back. Also, that would seem kind of cheap because somebody has to die in this film. Still, the mass culling of the film's cast does do Marvel a bit of a favour, clearing the deck for the unnamed sequel next year that could focus on the core Avengers, who all coincidentally survived, while having a plausible and dramatically satisfying explanation for why all the other heroes can't be there. Anyway, we're betting that by the end of the next film, the Avengers will have reversed Thanos' actions somehow and brought back all our favourite heroes for a scene where we'll finally see every single character on screen together, probably fighting Thanos. And yes, that might even include Hawkeye. Jeremy Renner's Archer is completely absent for Infinity War, as is Paul Rudd's Ant-Man, with both characters apparently under house arrest. But when we asked Infinity War directors Joe and Anthony Russo about that, they hinted that might be because they have a lot to do in the next Avengers film. Let them tell you themselves.
Were there any characters you wanted to include that you kind of had to let fall by the wayside just because there were so many?
Other than Hawkeye, no, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, listen, we sat down and found a way to work everybody. We have 2 movies that we're working with, so we figured out a way to bring everybody that we wanted to bring into the storytelling. I think in ways that felt satisfying to us, and so we're happy with who we got to work with.
Speaking of some of the heroes who aren't featured so prominently, how does it feed into Ant-Man? I know it's not a film you guys worked on, but I mean, how does it work if Infinity War ends? Is Ant-Man just off doing his own thing at the same time?
Well, it's always Civil War has a big impact on everything to follow it, and the events of Civil War. In that movie, there are characters who are on the wrong side of the government, the U.S. government. And so the audience will get to see how everyone responded to being on the wrong side and what decisions they made that allowed them to move forward in their lives.
And in all this time, I haven't even changed my t-shirt. That's dedication. And of course, the Avengers aren't the only ones who survive. While pretty much everyone from the spin-off films goes, we do keep Rocket Raccoon from the Guardians, as well as Nebula, which suggests to me that the Avengers might enlist those 2 to help them travel into space and take down Thanos. Who better to track him down than his daughter and the best furry pilot in the galaxy? And we might also get to see Captain Marvel join the team, though I'll come back to her a bit later. You see, first things first, I'm going to have a little Ant-Man interlude, because he could be very important for what comes next for Marvel. We don't know if he survives the cull at the end of Infinity War, but considering he's not in the first film at all, it seems likely he did to be in the sequel. And of course, Ant-Man has his own film coming out soon that could fill in a few gaps. Ant-Man and the Wasp is released this summer, and seems to feature Scott Lang and his partner Hope avoiding the government and taking down a superpowered thief, which suggests it takes place before Infinity War. I mean, it's hardly going to be at the same time. We can't really imagine Ant-Man ignoring the fate of the universe to have his own little adventure, can we? And it doesn't seem like it's set afterwards, considering the chaos you'd expect when half the population kind of poofs out of existence. But it does seem likely that whatever happens in Ant-Man and the Wasp will have some impact on Avengers 4. Be that in the classic post-credits scene, say a sort of cool teaser, where some Ant-Man characters dissolve and he goes to help the Avengers, or in the story itself. We know that the film shows Ant-Man trying to get the original Wasp, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, back from the quantum realm. Maybe that could help get the other heroes back too, somehow? Still, we know one film coming up that definitely will feed into the Infinity War sequel, Captain Marvel, which stars Brie Larson as a super-powered pilot, who we may salute a lot. The film's set in the 90s, so won't mess with Infinity War's big cliffhanger, but it's bound to lead into Avengers 4, given that we saw Captain Marvel being summoned in the Infinity War post-credits scene. It's hard to guess much more, considering we haven't even seen a trailer for Captain Marvel, but it seems likely there'll be at least some sort of post-credits tease for Avengers 4. Maybe she'll fly in and save them all, I don't know. When it does finally arrive, we don't know what will happen in Avengers 4, but we do know who does: Doctor Strange. In Infinity War, the Sorcerer Supreme swaps the Time Stone for Iron Man's life before making some cryptic comments about how this was the only way and that they were in the end game now. Earlier in the film, Strange had looked into the future and seen just one way for the heroes to triumph. So was keeping Tony Stark alive part of that? Perhaps completing Thanos' gauntlet would be the easiest way to defeat him and then reverse those changes, and perhaps Strange saw that Iron Man needed to be alive to do that. After all, the endgame in chess is when there aren't many pieces left on the board, just like at the end of Infinity War. So maybe Strange was doing what a good chess player does and trying to make the best of what he had. Our general predictions for Avengers 4? Some space travel shenanigans, the return of the Hulk, a central role for Karen Gillan's Nebula, she had a pretty big part in the comics, and a scene where the original 6 Avengers take control of an Infinity Stone each. No, that last one doesn't actually make any sense and there's no evidence, but it'd be quite cool, so I'm just gonna slide it in there. A bigger question, of course, where can Marvel go from here? Well, after Avengers 4, there are plenty more films already confirmed, like the Spider-Man sequel, Black Panther 2, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But the fate of the Avengers themselves is more of a mystery. Still, even if some of the longer-standing heroes like Captain America and Iron Man might be on their way out, as the actors have suggested, there's plenty of new heroes like Captain Marvel and Black Panther coming through to lead the Avengers. And even rumours that characters like the Eternals, the Fantastic Four and the X-Men could be coming into the fold. In years to come, we could see storylines like Secret Wars, Avengers vs X-Men and World War Hulk finally come to the screen. Or we could just finally get that Black Widow movie we've been waiting 8 years for. We could see Marvel get more cosmic with Captain Marvel and the Guardians of the Galaxy sequel, or even more grounded with Black Panther 2. Whatever happens, we'll be here to watch, theorise and enjoy the lot of them on radiotimes.com. Though for now, we're just counting down the days till Avengers 4.